What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So look, y'all. Press conferences are underway for Errol Spence versus Terrence Bud Crawford. I'm highly anticipating the fight, but one would think that there would be a lot more animosity between these two individuals in the lead up to this fight, right? Terrence Crawford's side has always accused the PBC side and Errol Spence of stalling him out or freezing him out of a lot of fights. And not Errol Spence, but the PBC of freezing him out of a lot of fights. And they have accused, Errol Spence of ducking him. Right? They've accused Errol of ducking him and moving around and trying to get around the fight, so on and so forth. Errol Spence has maintained that he was always going to clear out his side of the street, meaning he was going to clear out the PBC stable for those belts and then come for a mega fight with Terrence Crawford. But Errol they've had some back and forths. He hasn't liked the certain things that Terrence Crawford has said. Terrence Crawford and his team have said about him. They've even engaged in back and forth banter on Twitter. Errol has said some things about Crawford and his resume beforehand. So I was thinking there's going to be a lot more animosity. I thought Bomac was going to be on his talking crazy because Bomac been talking crazy about Errol for a while now, calling Errol a drunk, and a drunk ain't shit, all this type of stuff he was talking about Errol. And so I thought it was going to be like a crazy type of press conference. But right now, things seem to be very cordial. In fact, I'm not going to lie, Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence seem to be a lot more friendly than what I anticipated. There's been there's been some shit talk. Errol said we smoking on. Bud first said that they gonna be eating, they gonna be serving up big fish, they gonna be frying fish, it's gonna be a fish fry. He gonna serve it up to Errol's dad and all. You know what I mean? And then Errol say, we Jamaican, we smoke bud over here, we smoke bud. You know what I'm saying? We smoke that bud, right? We gonna roll you up and smoke your ass on fight night, right? And that's what he said. So. But I think even in saying that, it seemed to still be friendly. Even when they got face-offs, Terrence started touching the belt. Errol said something to him. They both started laughing and smiling or whatever. So it seemed like, bro, they might have been duping all of us the whole time. They not like best friends, but they got a lot of respect for each other. They friendly. They crack jokes. They probably been talking the whole time and just had the boxing world riled up, right? Because if anything, you were expecting Terrence Crawford to say, look, if Terrence Crawford say he'd been stalled out by Errol Spence, you would think he would come come out the gate, cussing Errol out, cussing out Derrick James, for things that Derrick James has said about Terrence Crawford, and you would have thought Errol would have been coming out cussing out Bomac or whatever. But I don't know, maybe cooler heads have prevailed in the background, but they seem to be a lot more friendly. So we're not getting the press conferences that we thought we were going to get. Remember when Floyd Mayweather fought Oscar De La Hoya and how he was talking? Now, it wasn't going to be that disrespectful, but you probably thought you were going to get some type of aggressive banter. Like, I'm talking about way aggressive to where you feel tension in the room. It's none of that. And maybe that's because the fight is still more than a month away. Maybe as the fight gets nearer, you'll see things start to spice up. But all in all, they don't have to sell the fight. The fight sells itself, honestly, right? Because this is the fight that everybody's been waiting for, the fight that everybody has been anticipating for a while. I was just expecting to see a little bit more, bravado, a little bit more, tension. But it doesn't seem to be that. It seemed like after they fight, they could be real cool friends after they get this out the way. They fight, do a rematch if one of them activates the rematch clause. And after they move on, they probably can be real cool friends. Because they respect each other. They respect each other's demeanor and how they carry themselves. I could tell, right? But yeah, it's not the animosity that many people were expecting. Not as of yet. Because even the little shit talking banter, it's just all I can tell. It's really more for promotional purposes more than real vitriol. You know what I'm saying? You can tell when Mike Tyson fought Lennox Lewis and they were doing the pressers, they didn't like each other. Okay, you can see that clearly. Like, I know Teofimo and Tank Davis don't like each other. They don't like each other. They might fight at the press conference, especially with the way Teofimo talking lately. If Teofimo unretires and he doesn't play retire, you know what I mean? He come out of retirement and fight Tank, they probably gonna fight before the fight come. I'm trying to think of other individuals where I felt like it was gonna be. It's a lot of animosity. trying to think. Yeah, it's a lot of. Oh, well, they never fought, but I can tell that Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis ain't like each other. They didn't like each other at all. So yeah, it's lacking that. And I think fans are like, yo, they can't sell it the way we want them to sell it. They were waiting. People thought they would have to get their popcorn ready. They thought this stuff was gonna be making head. They thought that the pressers were gonna be like making headlines everywhere. I honestly felt like Errol and them started talking a little more crazy the second presser because they probably told them, y'all need to pick this up. Y'all need to talk a little bit more shit. You got to sell this fight a lot more. You got to be a little bit more aggressive. You got to have a little bit more of your personality. And what I am seeing in this, though, is that Errol Spence is very quick-witted. He got quick responses. He's very quick on his feet. You know, he can play what people call play the dozens. He can shoot the shit back at you really quick. And he's a funny dude, for sure. He's very, very funny. Now, Terrence is funny as well, and he's stone jabs at Errol as well, but he's not as quick-witted as an Errol Spence when it comes to, like, you know, comedy type or jokes in that type of manner, right? And one could argue, well, Bud's all business. And, you know, just because a person, and I had Errol Spence winning these two pressers that they just had, but just because a person wins a presser does not mean they're going to win the fight, though. So I'm not saying that's an indication of how the fight is going to go. I do have Errol Spence winning, but that doesn't mean it's an indication of how the fight is going to go, right? But Errol definitely showed a lot more of his personality in ways at this second press conference. We're going to talk about him in Blue Bud. That's what Errol want to call him, Blue Bud. You're not Blue Blood. You Blue Bud. You Blue Team Bud. Blue Team Bud. So anyway, but him and Blue Blood Sports, he threw a little jab at Blue Blood for switching sides and jumping over to the Terrence Crawford side of things. Because, like it or not, people don't want to recognize that Blue Blood did switch sides. He switched teams. When he ran into Terrence Crawford at the 7-Eleven, they had a chat. He started to talk a whole different rhetoric towards Terrence Bud Crawford. So yeah, and Errol called him out on that. So that was an interesting thing to see. I'm gonna actually talk about that for sure. But yeah, man, they don't have a vendetta against each other like you expect. But I still expect this fight to be nothing short of a fan favorite type of fight. These dudes are aggressive individuals. Errol's demeanor is chill and relaxed, and he always look like he has something because he's just so, you know, he's a country boy. His speech, he talked very, you know, slow, he kind of monotone or whatever. Terrence is very monotone as well. But, you know, Errol, I think people look at him not as like a mean dude because, you know, he smiles a lot. He doesn't try to come off as aggressive in the face or try to look all mean and look tough and try to show a lot of machismo and all this and all of that. But in that ring, he's a dog. He's a dog, an animal. And again, I talked about his conditioning, his motor, the way he can switch gears and pump up the volume and go to another gear is tremendous. Terrence Bud Crawford is a dog as well. We've seen him, and as they talked about, he got a 100% knockout ratio in the welterweight division. Granted, now, I do believe everybody that Terrence fought, I believe Errol would have knocked him out as well, honestly. Or, I ain't going to say we would have knocked all of them out. Terrence got a special, he has a harder one-punch power than Errol to me. He does, even though I got Errol winning. Errol will break you down in combinations and get you up out of there. He's a heavy-handed dude, Errol is. But I do think Terrence got better one-punch. Oh, he hits you and you're stunned type. So Errol got to break you down a little bit, and then you go into a frenzy. So, but Terrence definitely has a mean streak. So it's gonna make for a great fight. These dudes both get in the ring. They serious about their business. They serious about being undisputed champion. The fight's still gonna be amazing. It's still gonna be a fight where the fans are gonna be extremely pleased. It's gonna be a crowd pleasing fight. It's not gonna be Mayweather Pacquiao. It's not. These dudes are going to engage and clash several times throughout, especially in the championship rounds, I believe, right? And we're going to see some special stuff. And both of these dudes are relentless. They're resilient. They're not going to give in to nobody. Both of them feel like they can break people's wills. So you're going to have an exciting fight. It's just the animosity that people were expecting. you know what I'm saying, for this fight, it's just not there, because I feel like they really got a lot of respect for each other, a lot more than the fan bases, actually, right? I'm an Errol Spence fan. I don't hate Terrence Crawford fans. I don't hate Terrence Crawford, but I do think Terrence Crawford fans be doing, not fans, I shouldn't say his fans, his super fanatics be doing a whole lot. And some can argue that Errol Spence super fanatics do a whole lot as well. I just refute silliness when I hear it. You know what I mean? So, especially narratives involving the guy who I'm rooting for in this fight, Errol Spence. But I do take up for Terrence Crawford in certain instances where people feel like, oh, he ain't this and he ain't that. I'm like, nah, he's a special fighter. Never gonna front. I feel like both of these guys would beat fighters on each other's resume. It's just we hadn't seen Bud go against these top tier opponents, really, welterweights, to see how he would do in deep, if he ever gets into deep waters, right? Because we don't know how he would have fared against them. We don't know if it would have been easy pickings. We don't know. But shall he get into big waters, deep waters? We never really saw him see what he would do in these situations, right? We saw Errol go into deep waters with Sean Porter and swim himself out. And one can argue that, hey, Terrence didn't have to swim himself out because he's never going to be in deep waters. But we don't know until we see it. So I'm excited about this fight. I promise y'all, I'm thirsty for this fight. I wish it was next weekend. But we got time. Give the fighters enough time to prepare. And probably enough time for us to get more invested. I'm already all the way invested, but the casual fan to get more invested. I think they might pump up the volume, up the ante a little bit. You might see a little bit more hectic pressers. You might see a little bit more trash get talked on social media when they come face to face in interviews. Terrence Bud Crawford been on his media runs. He was on the Breakfast Club. Errol Spence, I believe, probably gonna come too, because I saw in an interview Charlemagne said Errol was supposed to come, but his flight was a little late. His flight was late. So we'll see what Errol says on his, and they're gonna be going to all these different big time media networks in New York, because they in New York City. So we're gonna see if things get a little bit more spicier, because the fans want it spicy. The fans be talking shit to each other. Errol Spence fanatics, Terrence Bud Crawford fanatics hate each other, right? I'm an Errol Spence fan for sure. I don't hate Bud Crawford fans. I just be wanting them to be for real. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they be kind of like, I be like, all right, dog. You know what I mean? They act like Errol just ain't nothing of a fighter. Like he trash all the way around. And saying perfect matchmaking made him, that's ridiculous, dog. That's horrible. Matchmaking, fam? He fought everybody that was champions. And he would have beat all the other dudes that y'all would have, that Stan Jonas. I think Errol beats Boots right now. I don't think Boots ready for that. Errol or Terrence. I think the only two dudes who would beat Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, they are each other. And right now we got a head-to-head clash of the Titans. And I'm excited. I'm going to be covering everything. But the pressers have been dope to see. Some real slick, clever things from both individuals. But I think Errol has been the quicker, more clever individual in comebacks and low, slick shots, so on and so forth. I can tell Errol probably grew up in like talking shit in school. People, it seemed like them Texas boys be doing a lot of like what we call in Chicago. I'm about to fry your ass. They probably do a lot of that. In Mississippi, they call it joning. So they do a lot of that back and forth, playing the dozens, what the old heads say. It seemed like the boys in Dallas be doing a lot of joking. So Errol got a lot of quick wits about himself, and he's a lot more comical than what people think, man. But I think a lot of these individuals